What is up, Schwingers? It is me, your commissioner, your friend, your brother, your champion. Once again, on top of the Schwing Dynasty. They don't call me Papa Schwing for nothing. Aside from, an unfortunate, inappropriate boner problem as well that occasionally creeps up. If you know what I'm saying, Papa Schwing is also, and my Schwing Dynasty name, the Lord of the Schwings. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful name. Not a lot of you believed in that name. It's a shame. It's a shame how you put that name down. But here we are. Here we are. I built a wall around the trophy, which we don't have yet. I was thinking about buying one. It is still a problem of where do I send this trophy to? Am I mailing this to Sweden if Lucas wins, or to Japan if Bert wins? So that's the problem with us having a trophy in this league. But either way, the title's mine. I will be printing my banner, putting it up on the wall in the Schwing World headquarters. No asterisks will be on it, but we will look and see if this game gets replayed. But whatever. I'm pretty confident with having T in that game that I would have won. Regardless, it sucks. Obviously, it's a hugely unfortunate thing, and we're dealing with it. His family's dealing with it, and we have to this silly game we play, this ridiculous game we play. We have to just move on. So that's what we're doing. But how did we get here? I was 7-7 in the regular season. How did I end up as the big Schwing, the Schwing champion? How did I get my second title? First one of us to get 2 titles. How did we get here? Well, 7-7 doesn't really tell the whole story for the regular season for me. I was basically tied for Bert with the third most points. He had 2,303.93 points. I had 2,303.89 points. So we were separated. It's kind of amazing, actually, how this can happen, that over the course of an entire season, Bert and I were separated by 400ths of a point. When you take in, this is just the regular season, so the last week with the playoffs, none of that counts. Just in the regular season. So 14 weeks of football, and our teams are separated by 400ths of a point after all of that. So basically, we're tied for third most points in the league. He's slightly edged me out, so I guess I'm fourth most points in the league. And all credit to Daryl and Steve, who had great seasons. Really did have great seasons. They were the number 1 and 2 point scorers. Wonderful, you guys. Great roster construction, and it just kind of didn't come together at the end. I think Steve had a good week this week in the finals, but the last couple weeks of the playoffs were some of your guys' lowest point scores. So your team started to kind of fade away there. And that's exactly what mine did not do. Mine got better at the end of the season. And realistically, even though I'm 7-7, it's kind of crazy that happened, because I didn't even have an extravagant number of points scored against me. It was kind of in the upper tiers, in the upper 3 or 4 points scored against. But I rank in the Schwing Dynasty. If your team gets 160 points to let's start at the bottom. Okay, if you're under 120 points, I call that a putrid week. That's a terrible week. Okay, that's a horrible week. 120 to 140 is bad. That's a bad week. You're not doing too good. You're probably not going to win. You shouldn't win. 140 to 160 is an okay week. You have a chance to win for sure, but as someone having a good, a really good, it's okay to good, I guess, up to 160 would be okay to good. 160 plus is a really good week, and then 160 to 180 is a really good week, and then 180 is an elite week. That's a great week. So I went back and looked at my season. I had 5 elite games over 180. I had 5 really good games over 160. I had no games in the 140 to 160 range, so I didn't have any of that okay game. I had 2 bad games between 120 and 140, and one was just over 120. And then I had 2 putrid games that were under 120, and so those kind of pulled down my scoring for the season a little bit, those 2 really bad games. But it wasn't as up and down as I thought. I actually had 10 out of 14 games that would be considered really good to elite. So I'm happy, and I got the win. There were some tough losses in there. I did have some tough losses. I think Phil beat me when I would have beaten everybody else. Just things like that happened this season. No, like 1/10 of a point loss like there was to Mark last year. I didn't have one of those this year, but yeah, I don't know. So how did I win this though? Going 7-7, and this is not just for me talking about my team. This is talking about a few other teams as well. My team was amazingly healthy at the end of the season. That's something that did not happen to me the last couple of years. My team was super beat up. This year, my team was super healthy, and it's just the luck of this game. It's the luck of fantasy football. This year, I had it in the playoffs. My team was very healthy. I had Ken Walker get back in time for the playoffs, basically get healthy, and got a little bit better each game. Keenan Allen got healthy right before the playoffs and was a monster for the last month. Godwin got better. Chris Godwin got better as the season went along, got healthier, and then got really good near the end. He's been just a target monster. T. Higgins was banged up, but was playing through it and getting stats. And CMC and Saquon both stayed healthy almost the entire year, pretty much, and that's huge for those two especially. That helped my team a lot. And then the 49ers defense was a big part of it. So you compare what happened to my team with the health factor, and let's look at some other teams. So Steve lost Tua in the playoffs, and he had Derrick Henry get banged up the week he was playing against me. That hurt his chances in our matchup. I scored a lot of points that week. I don't think Derrick Henry is going to help him. I had a very good week against Steve. But he's still, you can see when that roster's taking hits. Bert, it was crazy. It's his receiver core was decimated. He had lost DeAndre Hopkins for our matchup, Cooper Kupp a month and a half ago. Devin Duvernay was out. That's another receiver that was out of his lineup. He didn't have Kyler, so we couldn't even move that Kyler Murray score into Josh Allen's score for this week, which I would have really been willing to do if he had been playing. I would have rotated that scoring. And he was down Wan'Dale Robinson also with his receiver core, and he had to start Greg Dortch and Pickens. And not that those guys aren't, I think they're actually pretty good players, but they're not DeAndre Hopkins and Cooper Kupp. So Bert lost a lot in his receiver core in particular. Sean, it seemed like his entire roster was infected with radioactive crabs for the most of the season. So he's going to want to look into that. And that's it. That's the luck of it. I knew this was a team that I knew that my team was good enough to win this league if it broke right. I knew I had the depth to overcome a couple injuries, and I had stars. I had some stars that were, especially when CMC went to San Francisco. I was like, oh, this could be a championship team now. So it broke right for me, and that's good. I'm happy about it. I'm pumped about it. Second title, not the way I would have wanted it to go. Kind of put a damper on it, but I definitely still am very, very excited to represent you all as your champion. Pick Lucas's new team name, the Boot Scootin' Bottom Boys. Just the appropriate amount of, country music reference and homophobia in that to really encapsulate Lucas's love of country music. It's terrible music, and Lucas just is a diehard. He just loves it. He can't get enough of that stuff. Anyways, that's where we're at now. We got some big things coming up. I'm gonna do the rookie, the redraft. So how we would have redrafted, the redrafting the rookie draft from last year, mocking it, how we should have picked it based on how this year went. Yeah, that's going to be a video I got coming up. But I got something else today. I'm going to do our team's New Year's resolutions. Okay, so what is the New Year's resolution for each team? I'm going to start with myself. My team's New Year's resolution is to bask, lay about, enjoy it. I've still got a good team coming back next year. There's some moves to be made for sure. I know Sean always calls me a tinkerer. I'm always messing with my roster. 2 titles allow you to kind of sit back for a little bit, but I'm coming for it next year. Still definitely want to get another one. I love to get it back to back. Really kind of start driving you guys out of this league. But yeah, no, I'm just gonna enjoy this one. Bert, your New Year's resolution is to get younger around Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 26. Bert's got 9 years of Josh Allen Kyler Murray, maybe, but definitely Josh Allen should be there for quite a long time, playing really good football. But he's got to get healthier around him. He's got really good players: DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook. These are good players, but they're getting older, and he's got to keep his window open. So Bert's mission is to get, or his New Year's resolution is to get younger stars around Josh Allen. These are players that could definitely help his team win next year. They could help a lot of our teams win next year. It's dynasty though, unless you are, you either go for it for a year or two, or you are trying to play the long game. I feel like you should always be trying to win this year, but he's got that quarterback piece that's like it's hard not to go for it when you have that good quarterback. All right, Steve, your New Year's resolution is to pray for a better Broncos offense and to find some running backs. Okay, so you need those receivers, all those Broncos receivers you have to be better. You need to find running backs that are going to be younger and stay healthy, because they tapered off at the end. Eckler and Derrick Henry. They started to help you a little bit less in the playoffs, at least. So that's what you got to do. You got to get some younger, better running backs, more depth at running back too, for sure. And you got to hope that Broncos offense is better for yourself, for your fandom, and for your dynasty team. Up next is Daryl. Depth. That's what you're going for. You need a third wide receiver who's a difference maker. Mahomes is 27. You got the bird issue. You got to get some guys around that man while you have a chance, because Steph Diggs is 29 already. I know receivers play longer, and he's the kind of receiver who definitely will play longer. He doesn't take. He's just good enough to play for quite a while. So you got to fill around them though with some more depth, because I looked at your bench when I was looking at this. I was like, oh man, I would not want to play a lot of these guys, but your starters are great. Your starters are awesome, as we saw by your score. It was an awesome season for you. Mark, you got to pray for the resurgence. So Russ, can he get back? Can he be better next year? You need to find a running back to pair with Josh Jacobs. I'm concerned about Joe Mixon going forward. Did not look the same this year. Had a huge monster game. Yep, had that. The offensive system has moved more to throwing the ball. You got to find someone to pair with Josh Jacobs, and you also have to hope, wish. Your other resolution is to sit down and meditate on where Josh Jacobs will go next year, because I doubt he's back in Vegas. I don't know that for sure. Obviously, maybe he'll be back, but I definitely see him going somewhere else, and you got to hope that's a good fit for him, where he can get the kind of touches he did this year. So, two things there. Pair running back with Josh Jacobs and hope Josh Jacobs is in a good spot. Obviously, Tyler Lockett's still really good. Metcalf's good. You kind of could use a better quarterback. Geno is fine. He had some big weeks this year, but I think he really regressed. I feel like in the second half of the year, doesn't mean every game was a regression, but it wasn't as good as the first half. Up next is Sean. Your New Year's resolution is lotions, creams, seances, maybe sacrifice a goat, stretch more for sure, and just get healthier, buddy. Okay, we got to get these players healthy. Stop having them practice in cleats on a playground blacktop. It's not working for your team, dude. I know you want to toughen them up, but just releasing rabid pit bulls onto the playground was probably too much. It was just too much. So just get healthier, dude. That's all your team needs. Lucas, build around your core, which you need to identify your core. You need to know who your players are that can't be moved, and everyone else can be moved on your team. And your core is Herbert, Etienne, and Garrett Wilson. Everyone else is movable. Everybody on your team is movable. I know it seems like a lot. There's some guys on there you're probably like, no. But yes, they are. Those three are not. Though that's kind of the three main tiers: quarterback, running back, wide receiver. And you need playable, startable, consistent depth. Not guys who have boom weeks, Marquise Brown is a boom guy. It's why I was okay to let go with him. I was a little worried at the beginning of this year, and he had a good season. But he's a boom guy, and he gets hurt, and he's small, and yada yada. Consistency. Go for those consistency scores. Get some big dudes too. You got small dudes other than Herbert. You need some. I mean, Mike Evans is big, but he plays small for such a big guy. He plays fragile. Get some big guys. Love those big dudes. That's why you're one of the boot scooting bottom boys, because you love those big dudes. Everyone else is movable, man. Just remember that. JD, just draft, dude. Just draft or trade. Get younger. Just draft though. You're going there. You're getting the pieces. You have Burrow and Lamar. If we ever do move to a super flex league, it will not be this coming season, by the way. It won't be this coming season. There just wasn't enough consensus on that. It was kind of a 50-50 split, and I figured in that case we're waiting another year. So you've got 2 quarterbacks that are very good, though. And you've got Amon-Ra and Dameon Pierce. That's a very good young core. So just draft, trade, but get younger. Okay? Get young. Get some stars. You need... this is going to be... It's easy to say, get a star, though. Okay, put a package together. Go get someone. It's amazing what a star can do for a roster in fantasy football. Those just monster weeks, they carry you. Chris McCaffrey did that for me this entire offseason, this entire postseason, I should say. Stars do it. Phil, make the end of this year all of next year. Okay, whatever you did, whatever magic beans you planted in your yard, do that all next season. Your team's been incredible down the stretch. You've got guys that put up points. Draft the best available. Draft the best available player. Make your list. Don't worry about position. Your positions are good across the board. Draft best available. Yes, Kamara. I offered Phil a trade in the first year or second year of our league for Alvin Kamara. It was before I got Christian McCaffrey. It was before I got, it was back then. I think I had Josh Jacobs and Saquon. And I offered Phil a trade and said, dude, I don't see you winning the title this year or next year. You should trade Kamara and get some pieces. Probably would have been a good idea for him at the time to do that, seeing how everything's played out. Might have been a good trade for you. But now your roster is way stronger than it was then. Way, way stronger. So draft best available, but you probably are looking for a Kamara replacement at this point. Probably good you had a rough season this year to be in that lottery, the upper lottery portion. See what you can get. But yeah, just draft best available. Adam, play Daniel Jones every game next year. Jesus, that guy, I can't believe the fantasy points he put up. Just remember that. Play Daniel Jones. Pray for Trey Lance. Hope. Obviously Brock Purdy, or maybe, who knows, but Daniel Jones. Keep adding pieces, but your team more than any other team I mentioned. I mentioned JD adding a star. To me, I don't look at Adam's roster and see a star. It's like CeeDee Lamb should be that. That should be it. Cam Akers, maybe. And that's the problem. He drafted that guy in the first round to be a star. Hasn't happened yet. Could be. But that really is the difference, I think, in a lot of these rosters. Depth is awesome. 2 stars. You get 2 stars. I don't know how many weeks this year that I won because of Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Waddle. And that's a star right there. Jalen Waddle's an up-and-coming star. The guys who can score 40 points. Bert when he had Cooper Kupp and Aaron Jones going off. You just got to have 1 or 2 of those guys. Really, for the size of our rosters, the size of the starting lineups, I don't think anyone wins a Swing Dynasty without 2 stars in their starting lineup. It's just what you got to go for. Sometimes you got to give up a lot to get them. You got to give away a lot of pieces. I gave up Jalen Hurts, Antonio Gibson, which at the time seemed bad, and a first-round pick to get Christian McCaffrey. Thank you, Lucas, for that one, by the way. Next year, I win the Swing Dynasty, and Lucas is getting the Trump's toilet clogger trophy. So go get stars, guys. Go make those trades. Get those players. And that's it. Love you guys. Happy New Year. Obviously, it's not Christmas really anymore, but Happy New Year. Your champion signing off. Peace out.